want to thank you for joining us today here at We want to thank you for joining us today here at... Oh, shut up. I'm going to get it. We want to thank you here for joining us today here. So, moving on to our other... to our next... what the hell is this shit again? Moving on to our next... what? As well as the entered... as well as... so that we... Do you think I could do radio?
You had the face for it.
Oh, God, I hate you.
What's new?
Because I need therapy.
Can you tell the difference in the quality of the video?
Unfortunately, yes, because your face blur.
What are you doing?
I am standing because I am getting swamp ass.
Dude, the one cheek sneak doesn't work when everybody's staring at you. Did you not notice I increased the size significantly?
Oh my goodness. I'm also dyslexic, Gert.
What?
The system is down.
Is it?
If you have any feedback, other tips and tricks, or topics you'd like to discuss, please send them to us.
Oh, have personality today. Do your characters look forward to seeing some of your NPCs again?
Well,
strap in, because today we discuss how to fill your world with cute and lovable NPCs that your players just will want to see again. Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host and the best with the most, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
Go, Brandon.
I'm your guest, Garwin.
Garwin is our Platinum Patron. Thank you so much for joining us. You actually picked today's topic now, didn't you?
Platinum.
Yes, if I remember right, at least. Which I never do.
So I'm really excited. Today we hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure. As always, we're full of fat loots and information and all that jazz. So let's delve into it. First of all, thanks again for joining us, Garwin. We love having you.
No
on.
problem.
Continued
I
support.
always love discussing the number one target for danger.
The number one target for danger. That's glorious, and I didn't think about it that way. So, how about we get right into it? So, I have a few outlines on here from my Google Foo, and things that I kind of elaborated on, but we'll leave this as an open forum. If you're watching this live, please comment your kind of favorite tips and tricks for making your players fall in love with characters to be apparent targets.
Not gonna lie, when I saw this, that I guess it's throwing me off.
The topic?
Anyway, when Animal Crossing and Doom came out at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
all the memes that came out.
Rip. And tear?
There's something to be said about
the
Annabelle
first thing I
being
wanna
Doom
talk
in that
about
situation.
Is,
I know.
build connections in a natural way. Before we get into this, Garwin, what does that mean to you?
Well, effectively, that means I throw random shit at the wall, wait for my characters to eventually get attracted to some of them, and then focus headlong along that character, introduce them. Now, I'm kidding. No,
Okay.
I try to think of it. I try to think of what my players would catch their attention. Try to make a character somewhat around that, and try and not put them right in their fucking path if I can help it. Usually I have them as a background character somewhere that describe them in a way that would drag their attention right to there. My players have a tendency to go so what's the plot? Oh, that's great. Now what's this character? It is always fun. So yeah, I try to do it that way, and then through that kind of interaction, by basically not throwing them right in the face, but just having it be, okay, they're interacting with them. That means they're pushing the initiative, so they are more invested in it. Instead of it having be, here's this character, be invested now.
Right.
Right, for sure. God, I love his
I mean,
beard.
you can't make players like a character.
You want to bet?
Certainly try.
I know, but there's been some times where I've seen DMs try to say, here's a character, like this guy. And we're like, we hate this guy.
Oh yeah.
So, what do we mean through built through connections? The greatest and most well-known example is what? An innkeeper or a barkeep, right?
Oh yeah.
This is a very natural thing because the tavern is a place where people go to congregate, and that's where information is passed. So that's one of the more natural examples, as it's part of the a critical part of the world or scene or scenario that they're running, right? Um, if each time the characters came to an inn and the innkeeper offered them a free meal in exchange for them like telling a story or a poem or something,
Or not wrecking the tavern.
or not, they that doesn't happen in my games as often as it used to.
You guys look like trouble. Here's
Yeah.
a free meal if you keep it down.
I would
But
admit,
anyways,
I
that's a
expected
really
a
good
lot.
example.
I
Let's
expected a
continue with
lot more
that.
of that kind of
So
issue. Yeah, haven't had one in
Mhm.
my game so far. They really love the Green Dragon's pitch for some reason.
so the goal is to make them memorable in a way that the characters notice when something doesn't happen. So um, with the story, for instance, hey, this guy used to be an adventurer, and he wants just somebody to listen to their stories, right? So after every time they finish a quest and they come back and he says, hey, a free meal if you listen to my story, and then one time they come in and he doesn't make that offer, what do you think is going to happen?
The characters ask why.
Probably.
Hey, don't you got any more stories for us?
They definitely are. Now, one thing you do gotta be careful of is not to trigger that too early. Because
Yeah.
like if you only done it once or twice and then suddenly you don't, players aren't gonna think about it.
Yeah. It's the long game, right?
Hmm.
Yep.
Because you're building up that, but those stories are also building up the character's understanding of that NPC, right?
Hmm.
So if these stories, let's say the person used to be a cleric, but they lost their faith, so their power was stripped away because they couldn't save somebody. But if they're just telling adventure after adventure that culminates in that story, how this cleric used to heal people but had to retire because he failed and decided that his deity wasn't worth worshiping, that's going to build a connection in a natural way over time.
Or maybe he's getting to that point in his stories where he's telling his stories in order. He's getting to that point to where he messed up and he doesn't want to tell that part, so he's just kind of like, I'm just gonna go ahead and hide in the back now.
Yep.
And maybe that aspect of the innkeeper not being able to tell a story for a particular, maybe it's a particular day the players come in, right? The characters come in and he says, I don't want to talk about it because that's the day that he failed somebody.
Oof.
Do you know what I mean? So then if the characters take interest, if the players take interest, they're going to ask questions, and that's when you can spring it on them.
Another thing you can go about too, is maybe that bartender's having some sort of issue that he's fixated on. So the players have to go solve it, so he'll open up, or for him to reward you guys. I'm just saying that's a idea.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Brandon?
And
Garwin, you
then
guys got
also
anything?
for the, let's say for the characters that you as a DM you build, but you don't want them to speak a lot. Like let's say they're quiet people or something happened in their past, so they can't really talk for some reason. You can draw attention to them in scenes. Like let's say it's a bartender. Let's just call him Mike for some reason, or Mac. That's what I call him, my favorite guy. Like he really doesn't talk, man, a few words. Let's say he has a past that doesn't want to talk about a lot of things. Just every time they enter the tavern, always describe Mac at the bar doing something specific, whether it's like maybe always the same thing or a different thing now and again, but he's always at the bar, and he nods and has conversation here and there, like one word things. Another way is also to have his wait staff talk about him to the players now and again. That is a good way to draw attention to him. And then, like, one day, suddenly, he's not at the bar. Where's Mike? Where's Mac? What happened? Well, they already know the wait staff know a lot about him. Maybe they'll ask. Maybe they'll find out more. Or maybe they won't. Maybe Mac just was sick. Or, who knows, maybe his past got up to him.
Yeah, Mac and Justin Files. He has history, but you don't know what it
I'm
is.
so glad someone finally caught that. None of my players have caught on to that.
And he's probably not human.
Uh,
I'm just saying.
One of
you
my
got
players
anything to
might
add,
be
Brandon, before we
watching
move on to the
today.
next one?
Yeah.
Now, it's worth noting that this isn't cut in stone. There are many different ways to do it. These are just some details we came up with. And the next one is, I think, one of the easiest ways. But you really have to pick a character that's really curious and enthusiastic for this to work. But have an NPC take an interest in a feature or a detail about the character themselves. And I'm not just talking a young little, child coming up. Oh, you're adventurers. I want to be one when I grow up. I'm talking a very specific thing, right? Maybe your player wrote down that they are a paladin of a specific order, so maybe somebody loves the emblem, right, and wants to know more and looks to want to be part of that order or knighthood or whatever it is. Or perhaps one of your characters had a tassel on the end of their blade, right, that hangs. Somebody takes interest in it and says, "What does that mean? Can you tell me the story about it?"
I could easily see this being built off of if a player's playing a exotic race that's not common in the area, so they stand out in that regard.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, you're a tabaxi. Is it true that you love this catnip? Like, I heard it's like an addiction to
Nah.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously more of a negative
Nothing
light, I
gets a
guess,
player
but
invested than being able to
yeah,
talk about their character,
yeah.
especially if they're the type to really go in depth. And even if you then look at the character sheet and there's like nothing there really, you'd be surprised how invested players get in making up crap for their characters on the spot and then think about it later and then go, okay, I want this to be a thing with this character. It is hilarious. Now,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not
what's his name?
I'm not too intrigued about having a child come up to my players and go, I want to be just like you, considering my campaign is called Gamblers and Debtors. They're not good people.
No.
What were you gonna
But
say, Pete?
the bard of the group has unofficially adopted a child in the campaign that the plot is really revolving around. And, Bramor, if you're watching, I hope you don't die due to this.
You gonna say something?
So, I can't remember his name. Someone on TikTok said that you look like him.
Sam Riegel.
Sam Riegel,
About
the
1,000 people told me I look like Sam Riegel.
voice actor who's doing not. I think that's it in a Critical Role. He has a portion in the role play where he completely just made something about his character just right off the top of his head, and then everyone rolled with it, and that became a thing.
And
I
and
don't see
that's the
how.
way some of those things start, but you want to take the details the players have put into their story and use it. So a really good example, and shame on me because I missed out on this opportunity. When Brandon was playing in our game with Garwin, he had a very unique weapon, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's still my
It was like
favorite
ice gun
interpretation of
or
that thing
ice
so far.
spells or what did you? No, that was a different game. That was what one did you have the ice blaster?
That was a
That
now
was
gun
game.
edge.
You
was
had the
Garwin's
ice
game.
gun now
Okay.
game.
Yeah, it was a ice sniper rifle.
And
Yeah.
that should have been an opportunity for me to say, "Oh my god, I can use this." Have an NPC start inquiring about it.
Yeah.
How would that have made you feel?
Pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, see, and I didn't think about that at the time,
Yeah,
mostly
like
because I
it was
focused
also
more
a
on
failure on
Garwin's
my
character.
part
But
because I hadn't yet grown comfortable with my character. I hadn't built him up yet, nor did I really know people in this group. It was a real missed opportunity for me to actually ask about what the fuck that thing was, because now, at the stage we are now, it is absolutely something worse people would have asked about. And it could have been real cool stuff.
Yeah.
What is it? Things that people don't know about your characters. I
Yeah.
think it was what second session. I cried because of the descriptions you can hit about your character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was
Like,
that
oh my god, man!
was detailed.
Hey,
And
I had an
so
idea for
the
the character, based it around him.
There you go.
yeah. So to bring it back around, the NPC should latch on to something about the characters,
Hmm.
no matter what it is. Whether it's something about if they're a sailor background, maybe they always carry fishing hooks or something, and maybe they're a brooding rogue, but one of their habits is moving coins between their knuckles.
Hmm.
Take interest in those. Have the NPCs take interest and give special attention and rant and excessive excitement about this little detail that the player had included in their character.
Hmm.
Because that's going to make that player love that character because they're giving so much attention, as well as loving you as the DM for even paying attention to it, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about NPCs, but it really comes down to you as the dungeon master, right?
Yeah.
One of my
Like,
NPCs were like that.
if you don't
Oh yeah?
say the
They come out.
NPCs do something, the players aren't gonna realize they're doing something.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All of my players they hide their magic items so no one can see them, except for one. He's got like 16 magic items because he hoards them. Everyone sells their stuff and he doesn't. He's like, no, I'm not selling this. So he's got a bunch of shit.
Ooh, I love that.
Well, he ended up meeting a blacksmith who only makes magic items, and that's what attracted them to him because he shows off all the stuff. It's like, wow, you got a lot of really cool stuff. There's a lot of arcane energy coming off you. Can I see that for a second?
What about you, Ian?
Uh-oh.
Man, a few words.
Depends on my mood, I guess.
Can you give us an example?
So I got lost in thoughts for a moment. So anyway,
Okay.
Hmm.
The next thing I want to kind of talk about is riding gimmick train because gimmicks are tropes and exist for a reason, right?
yeah.
So a really great one is cleric and paladins. They're meant to be these holy knights and charismatic people of honor, and they're supposed to represent the ideal hero, right? Have the NPCs react when the players are playing those roles, right? Put them on the spotlight for what that expectation is. In this case, the expectation might be, oh, clerics are wholly devout, so have everyone in the town beg them to bless their child, to heal every little nick and scratch, because this is what they're known for, right? So they should be able to do it and make it become almost a nuisance, right? You want to really ride that gimmick till the horse is dead at this point. That's just one example. What do you think, Garwin? Do you have another example?
Well, you know the you know the gimmick of the blacksmith that is a perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
I have one like that in my game called Kaktuk. He's a Thrycreen who runs black iron blades. Thanks to his 11 secret smithing techniques, all his metallurgy comes out black. And every single piece is always a masterwork without fail, and he refuses to sell anything he makes that isn't one.
Hmm.
Which means all the prices are increased by 500 gold. And every single item he makes, even if it's just a horseshoe. But he
Can
has
we just make
another
me those?
yeah, but he does have another gimmick on him, which I added, which is that if he ever makes armor, you like Mastercraft armor only gets a +1, but his armors, their base are always one higher on top of everything +1 of the Mastercraft, which really drew my characters to him. But every time they return and one of his armors come in and they're damaged, he gets so outraged he refuses to let them leave until he repairs it, and then they pay for it.
That can get annoying.
Oh yeah.
So another thing I'm talking about the gimmick is some of the more traditional stories, right? Uh, a a young child losing their kitten, right, is a good example of a pretty tried and true gimmick, right? The hero swoops in, gets the cat out of the tree, right? Maybe this character, this young NPC, young child, comes looking for their cute new kitty Moxie, right? And can't find anybody to help, so excuse me, mister, can you help me find my kitty? And of course, the player characters go on their adventure. They find the kitty high up in this giant redwood tree, and when they pull it down, not only does it have 6 legs, but it has two big tendrils hanging from its back.
Aye.
It's a displacer beast, but it's an infant, right?
Yeah.
So they've got an option. This is technically a
Uh, you guys froze on me there. Huh, hey, I guess it's my show now. I'm taking over. All right, everybody, let's turn this boat around and talk about murder now. All right, so, all right, while they're dealing with technical difficulties, I guess I'll go talking about some random bullshit, all right? All right, so, going right off that little topic, like, I love the displacer beast idea. Like, my players, for example, they wouldn't bat an eye. It's adorable. I love it. Let's take it. Let's keep it. For example, I introduced a troglodyte that had been living in the manor they just found, never been outside, never interacted with anyone of their tribe. It is an animal by nature. It's basically feral. It doesn't have the intelligence to do shit. Oh yeah, it is absolutely beautiful. And Bramor, he just went around all about, I'm gonna name it Goji. It's my pet now. I'm gonna train it to be a guard. It is adorable. So I kept describing how it is always hanging with an Aradia, the girl Brammer adopted. It is so beautiful all the time. Like, it climbs along the walls and ceilings, and Aradia is hanging on it. Every time I need her to enter a scene, I just describe that happening, and they all just love it. It is so much fucking fun. Like it is so fun just to have character dynamics introduced like that, just to describe the wacky shenanigans you can get behind, and see your players' reactions to that. Some of them just go, "Oh, that's cool." Some go like real big facial reactions, don't say a lot. Others just go, "Oh, I want that." It is so cute, absolutely adorable. Now, if I introduce the displacer beast in my campaign with a child, my players absolutely unequivocally would go, "Okay, that's a bit dangerous, but that's his kitten. Let that child keep the kitten. We'll keep an eye on it. See what happens. But we also want one. Where can we find these?
Check
Let's go
one.
hunt for them.
Oh, I heard this.
Ah, we can hear you again.
Holy shit.
great
was good,
job,
though.
Garwin, for covering.
No problem, my man.
Apparently, it's Sam Riegel's fault.
Ah! Yeah, he got angry. Which, by the way, Silver said he doesn't see how you look like Sam Riegel. I looked at a picture of him and grow your beard back, slim down a bit, and yeah, I can see it.
One of those things is doable.
Well, oh god, I hate you.
Or
When I'm on TikTok, they
have
only see my
Sam
head,
Riegel-
and I had
have
the
Sam
little
Riegel gain some
goatee, and
weight.
everyone's like, "You look like Sam Cousin." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." Anyways,
Yeah.
I don't see it, but whatever. All right, so we left off with Ride the Gimmick.
Yeah.
Remember, we were talking about the child and the kitten,
Hmm.
which turns out to be a young displacer beast. I think that's a really great opportunity because they rescued this thing for this young child that it's a monster. So now they're torn. They can't just leave this monstrosity with a child who thinks it's a kitten, right?
Sure you can.
So, oh god. So how do you think the players are going to react to that?
I mean, as long as he
Uh,
raises it, okay.
yeah.
There may not be a problem. Might.
They explained how mine would react.
Kill it with fire!
Find a
Nah.
black kitten, some cardboard, and make some extra feet and tentacles and tape it to it.
And just swap them?
Yes.
You're not going to feel bad about stealing and taking a young kitten from a young child? That's pretty douchey,
Well, it depends on your alignment, doesn't it?
I guess. All right, so the last big thing I want to talk about is pull potential NPCs from characters' backstories. We've talked about this in the past, right? Players will develop attachments in their stories,
Holy shit.
right?
Yeah.
You know, much like the finer details concept we kind of touched about, backstories are rife with NPC opportunities. And
Yep.
they may not even detail and flesh out the NPCs, right? A good
Mm.
example would be somebody that's a battle master fighter, right? They how did they learn that? They might talk about a mentor, but not go into any more detail than that. So introducing them into a NPC that it was the mentor, maybe they're just maybe they get a letter or something that their mentor is dying,
Yeah.
right? And then you build that kind of connection through a story that they've kind of already written and connected to.
That would suck if that letter was dated a year ago.
Oh no,
Ooh.
I got better.
for a day or two. He's like, yeah, he's like, he thinks he's gonna die, and then get till they come there. I was like, I was a year ago. Sorry, buddy. What do you think, Garwin?
Oh, I definitely love the idea. Like, like I'm playing in a game right now where the DM asks me a lot of questions about my backstory, more than I'm kind of used to. Like, usually I leave my backstory as quite vague because I have a difficulty remembering specific things from backstory. So I like to leave it vague and flesh it out over the course of the campaign. That way I remember it better. But this one asked me quite a lot of details about it. Like I had to come up like in a year with I had to come up with my first I I came up myself was my wife and my kids, but then they asked me about my parents, the fencing instructor I had, the one who's my nanny effectively, my rival, my best friend, and all those kind of shit. And that's like stuff I never thought about. So it was real fun coming up with them. But at the same time, if I'm gonna have to go back now to where I wrote that, copy it over to another area so I can actually remember who the fuck these people are, because it's been way too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
But
the
I
similar
can't
vein, if you're going
wait.
to
I
introduce
just
a
yeah.
NPC that's tied to the player's past, work with the player first.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because I've lost count how many times where a DM would introduce a character from my past, and they'd be like, "Who is this guy?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you don't give them a heads up and talk to them about it ahead of time, yeah, that can be
Yeah.
a
Like
shocking
Like I know I
moment.
used this
like
example before, but there was one session that ended with like, "And your brother is here." Me, I have a brother.
yeah.
You do know.
Yeah.
I
Like
had one like that and it got ruined.
Sometimes that can work too because there is long lost twins, right? That's sort of a thing and a trope.
yeah.
Right, but it can be pretty awkward sometimes. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Well, yeah, but I do think there is a place for some of that stuff if you're careful with it. Make
Oh
sure you know
definitely.
your player, right?
Yeah. Like there
Yeah.
are a
That's
lot of
important.
players out there where you will have to give them a forewarning that you're gonna draw up something from the backstory. And like you don't necessarily have to say who you're coming back, who you're saying might be appearing, but just give them a hint that someone from their story might be appearing. But that can also be bad because if you're gonna draw like their best friend or their like or their rival or their sixth grade cousin or something, then you draw those in and they expect something else. It's just what? They have no clue who they
Yeah.
are, and it's just really loving it. Oh, hey,
All right. Is there any other
there's Bramble in the chat. AFG just dropped in. Say hi.
I've had two
That's fun.
where in my campaign now, as I've told you before, they get thrown into the future, whatever. Well, before that happened, one of them became buddy buddy with this tiefling paladin, and he started liking her. And then they got thrown in the future. It turns out that their history together, like the last 15 years before they were thrown ahead in time.
hot tub tiefling machine? Apparently.
What the
Ah.
fuck?
Oh, I remember that movie. It was a great one.
uh, 15 years of his memory had been wiped. He ended up actually getting married to them. So when he gets to the future, she figured out a way through alchemy to prolong her life, and they met. And he's like, "Hey, by the way, we're married." He's like, "What?" And he loved that, so that worked out well.
It's a balance, but I think
Mm.
that the players give us all that we need to make the stories great, including the NPCs, right?
Mm.
Whether it's
Yeah,
a
they do.
mentor, a family member, um, I can't think of anything else. An employer.
Mentor, family member, ooh, an employer, someone they're after. Like one of my players has a background where her sister was put in jail for something that someone else did. So they're chasing down someone else so that they can put them in jail and get her out. Well, I
Ah.
played with this background for 3 months, and she finally caught her. The issue with this is that one character completely destroyed that with one natural one, and
Ooh.
pretty much ended the campaign. So I had to figure out a way to weave some new stuff in there.
Cool.
Yeah.
And now there's like, oh, we need to go break up my sister out of jail because my fucking alibi just got blown to shit.
Well, and I like things like that. A good
Mm.
example is by building small little moments with a villain you're chasing down. By putting them in situations, you might learn that the reason they're a villain is not by choice; it's by circumstance. A good example of this is Zuko in The Last Airbender.
Mm.
Yep.
He seems to
Oh,
be
yeah.
this evil tyrant dick, but it turns out that through
Got
these
daddy issues.
yeah, right, throughout these little snippets of situations where the characters are stuck with him for a short period of time, it starts to kind of unravel that
Mm.
he's a victim more than anything, which is why he starts changing, right?
Mm.
Because he realizes that he's just trying to please somebody that really isn't good and doesn't care, you know?
Yeah.
And so you can do that with your NPCs, even if they are the villain.
Yeah.
Another good example, and I know everyone's going to laugh at me because they always laugh,
Mm.
in the Batman and Robin flick, Mr. Freeze. He's always my favorite because he's a
Yeah.
relatable villain. The only reason he steals is because medicine is so damn expensive, he doesn't have the funding to save his wife, who he's cryogenically frozen.
Yeah, like
Yep.
Mr. Freeze is
And
one of
that,
the few characters Batman could just go, I'm gonna give you funding, and he'd just stop being a criminal.
oh my God.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Even at the beginning of that flick,
In theory, yeah.
Batman
Yeah.
has that super credit card thing to pay the bills, and
Oh,
then him and Robin are trying to get a date with Poison Ivy, and he's like, "You can't outbeat me. I'll borrow money from you."
yeah.
But that's a good point. Anyways, anything else?
Now you do gotta be careful about the whole, and I'm gonna make a sympathetic villain thing, because some people like a good old fashioned bastard.
You do need to occasionally, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes, like, yes, you don't have to make him like, I'ma go and skin this puppy alive in front of you kind of evil. Just make him an arrogant, self righteous bastard who is full of himself so completely, but he's charismatic. So the players usually end up loving him and love interacting with him, but they also hate his guts, but they love hating him. It's a real hard
Yeah,
balance to
I
find,
find
though.
guys like that.
It is.
Um,
Though
all
there's also
right,
those that
we're
just
coming up on
love
our
killing
time
the
today,
puppy skinning
so
bastard, though.
I think we
Maybe just
will
throw one of those in.
close up here for our main topic today. Um, I want to say that if you've created a fun, cute, and lovable NPC, whether it's a monster or an NPC that the characters can relate to, please let us know. Comment on the video, help drive the algorithm to have more people see
Mm.
it, all that jazz. And I think that'll do it for our show today. If with the holidays coming up, we know that shopping is a pain in the ass, right? Nothing worse than going from store to store to store trying to find the perfect gift. Well, technology has made it so people can get their own shit. So, did you know you can head on over to critacademy.com, get a gift card for your favorite dungeon master, your favorite players, so they can pick up some of our best-selling supplements, whether it's player options, adventure books, monster books, whatever it is. We got it all,
Mhm.
right? The holiday coming up, you don't want to miss out with giving our Crit Nation fat loots, right? Though we
Fair.
were talking about earlier playing around with the idea of Critiots.
Gritty.
I think that's awesome. More to
Ah,
come, I guess.
it's beautiful.
All right.
Only an idiot would watch this show. Critics.
That'll do it for our show today. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like to support us, pick up a gift card. Share the show. Ring that bell, right? Hit that subscribe button. Get notified when we go live so you can watch us immediately because the algorithm loves that shit. It's one of the best things you can do. Share this when it's done to your Facebook page, your Twitter, your TikTok, and whatever other social media you got going on.
Tickety talk.
Take a picture of Ian when he was napping for a few seconds there. And share it.
Oh,
Uh,
you can screen
like
cap
it.
it, turn it into a meme. That one
No, I
player
think
at the
he's,
table.
You're not
when
used to
when
getting
turn
10
comes
hours of
up.
sleep, huh?
No.
All right. That'll do it for your show today. Our show today.
Well,
Yes, it's
Garwin
my
can take
show
over
now.
Yeah, Garwin, thank you for saving us. You're our knight
That's my
in
show now, bitch.
bearded armor. All right,
It's called Garwin Crit Academy. Okay.
Garwin Anatomy. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your host, Ian.
I'm your co-host, Brandon.
I'm your guest, Garvin.
Thanks for listening.
Keep your blades sharp and
and
spells
prepared,
prepared,
heroes.
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 Oh God, those echoes.